Now, again, in case you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm getting my head around this a little bit, but I'm not quite sure. I think the 2 box in schools, classrooms becomes a little bit like speed cameras. Stay with me for a second or two. If I get you thinking what you see people do in the cars, motorbikes, as they approach a speed camera, I bet your answer is you see the brake lights go on and they slow down. They slow down because they don't want to get caught. If they get caught, they get 3 points, they get a fine, they might get a speed awareness course. Please don't say out loud, just a question to reflect on. If you did get caught for speeding, did you take a speed awareness course because it meant you didn't get the 3 points? Most people say yes. Again, how many people who've done a speed awareness course might have seen people on the speed awareness course say things like, I was only doing 32, I was only doing 31, I shouldn't even be here anyway. The reason I'm talking about this, colleagues, is I think the 2 box creates a culture of catch me if you can. And if we get caught, what's the incentive to tell the truth if you know there's going to be a punishment? Because if there was a system where you had to tell the truth for speeding and you got a phone call once a month from the police, I don't think anyone in this group would say, yes, I was doing 34 yesterday morning, I did 41 in a 40 zone. But when we've got a culture in the 2 box, my worry is we might actually be encouraging children not to tell the truth. The worrying thing with the culture in the 2 box, colleagues, is it's not transferable. So you might get behaviour that complies in a classroom, but it's not transferable for unstructured time, from one lesson to another, from one teacher to another, from one part of the school to another. The worrying thing is the outcomes you generate in the 2 box are probably higher exclusion suspensions, lower attendance, less children taking a risk in the classroom, because if they get it wrong, they'll get a punitive response. Staff are not feeling psychologically safe. I could keep going. The bottom right-hand box, colleagues, we call this the 4 box. The 4 box. This is where the opposite style of practice might be happening in your classrooms and schools, where relationships are high on support but couldn't set a boundary for toffee, really low expectations. Now, we call this the 4 box because it often ends up where we do a lot of things for students, for staff. So even sitting here, colleagues, do you ever do things for people because at least you know it's being done? Be honest, do you ever do things for people because at least you know it's done properly? That's me. My worry is, though, in the original version of the 4 box, it has words like permissive, rescues, makes excuses, colluding, friend rather than friendly. Remember the 3 Ps, personal, private and professional. This person's probably a little more private self rather than just professional and personal. Colludes against colleagues, undermines colleagues. But don't forget, if you haven't picked up, these are like a traffic light. There's times when we do need to do things to and for, because this model is not only relational, it's situational and transactional. There's times and situations where you might need to send a child home, keep a child in a playtime. There might be times when a child moves to a different classroom. There might be times when David comes into school and I'm in the 4 box, I don't pick him up on the white trainers. I spend the first 5 minutes investing in the relationship bank, because an unregulated professional will never be able to help co-regulate a student emotionally. I want to give David nurture, compassion and empathy. But thinking about Shane's question in the group chat, you know, in terms of that, and they don't see why there's a problem. If we've got a culture in the 2 box, they'll get defensive. But if I show some empathy, compassion, nurture and understanding, maybe we can move to a conversation that focuses on the solution rather than the problem, the future rather than the past. So what I'm saying is there's times when we might need to do 2 and 4. The red box, colleagues, last few minutes, and then I'm going to pause and use the last few minutes just to see if you've got any questions, reflections before I share my details with you. And you'll start to cry saying, oh, Mark, we don't want to go. We want to do another 5 hours with you and stay late. The red box, colleagues, is my least favourite colour, the red box. This is what we call the not box. The original version has the word neglectful, dangerous, not interested. But I think people practice in the not box when they're tired, overwhelmed, stretched, as well as when they're lazy, incompetent. The worrying thing is, though, what would the outcomes be if you went to the not box? The box we're interested in, colleagues, is what we call the with box. The green box, colleagues, the original version has the word restorative practice, relational, collaborative, partnership, getting alongside people. The word I'm going to leave to last, it also has the word authoritative. Colleagues, I need you to hear loud and clear, because some of the narrative around restorative practice nationally really isn't a true reflection, because when people describe it as wishy-washy, lets children off with stuff, that's the 4 box. Restorative practice, colleagues, is no less of the authority. It's how you exercise that in a way that does things with people rather than to them or for them.